All right. Uganda is done, or Africa as a continent. We're done with Uganda. Let's cross over to Europe. I will start with the UEFA Champions League. Before we get to the playoffs that were played last night, I want to start on the note of you had 5 Premier League teams finishing within the top 8 of the UEFA Champions League table, or at the league phase. Does that have any...
Is that 5 or 4?
There were 5.
Because Newcastle is playing in the playoffs.
Yes, because remember, England had 6 teams.
6 teams, okay.
Because of Tottenham's qualification through the
Europa League, okay.
Yes. So you had 5 teams in the top 8. So I'm wondering, does that communicate that the Premier League is going to be dominant across Europe? What's the implication? What do we read in that?
First of all, Premier League teams are better prepared because the thing we mentioned about the money. They have a lot of resources. The revenue sharing model that they use that gives number 1 and number 20 the same money in terms of commercial TV rights has helped. The teams are stronger. They are able to retain their best players a little longer. They are also able to hire the best coaches. You'll find a coach like Julian Lopetegui come out of Real Madrid and join a team like Wolves because there he'll earn anywhere above £4 million. No other team other than Madrid or Barcelona will be able to pay him the same amount of money. So that makes them very strong. And the league is very, very competitive because it's much easier to find Wolves beat Arsenal or Man United or Chelsea than to find Rayo Vallecano beat Barcelona or Real Madrid.
Just this season, you had Sunderland and Crystal Palace somewhere in the top 4 or 5.
So it's that competitive. But for me, strength, you can judge the strength now, and it doesn't matter where you finish. The Champions League has showed us that it doesn't matter where you finish. In the first one, when the new format came in, Liverpool were top, lost in the first round, in the round of 16 to PSG. For me, this has only to count if English teams can convert this into winning the title. Because it counts for nothing if in the end, the title goes to Bayern or goes to PSG or Real Madrid. So then it's just a league phase because in the end it comes down to knockout competition. Yes, you're able to get 5 teams in the top 8, but if Bayern win, do you then go back and justify that you're the strongest teams? Maybe not. Yeah.
Okay. Then now quickly to the playoffs. Last night, Juventus. What happened to Juventus?
I actually have a soft spot for Juve and Italian football in general. Actually, when I'm not supporting the team that I'm wearing, if I have to pick a soft, and I don't really support an European team because I support Argentina and Uganda. Yeah. Those are the ones that I feel
I do Brazil and Uganda.
Yeah. Then sometimes I have a soft spot for Italy. I think what Juventus got in Turkey in that 5-2 loss to Galatasaray is symptomatic of what has happened to Italian football. I think the teams have been struggling, and Juventus are an embodiment of that struggle. They've not performed very well in Europe. Okay, they don't even have luck in Europe. Juventus, even the years when they were a very good team.
I
could go back to the years when they played Champions League finals in the 90s and only won 1. Yeah, they lost to Dortmund in 97, lost in 98. They only won the one of 96. Thereafter, they've been to a final against Milan in 2003. Against Milan and still lost that. Juventus never do well in Europe, I could say. They even played a final in 2015 against Barcelona and still lost that. But right now, I don't think the game is in very good health. And tactical, I thought they were very poor. If besides the red card, is that they traveled to Turkey and almost tried to win the game. Okay, these days away goals rule doesn't count.
Yeah.
But they refused to play. I thought they could play with a more conservative approach. And even if they lost 2-1 or got a draw there, then they would be able to overturn the result at home at the Turin Stadium or the Juventus Stadium in Turin. But they went for broke. And you see some of the goals they conceded, even especially the ones at the end, there were so many gaps in that backline. They look like a team that were in a rush.
If you have watched Cellini, Bazzagli and Bonucci defend for Juventus, you may think yesterday Juventus did not have defenders because they made it at some point made it look too easy, because even when you reduce to 10 men, you're not going to get broken down easily, because look at the game against Inter Milan, which they lost 3-2. They still were being broken down quite easily, you know. But
that's a worry now. They've conceded 8 goals in 2 games, but it says a lot about the health of Italian football and their clubs. But also tactically, Juventus were very poor.
But also 10 goals in 3 games, because against Lazio, the 2-2 draw, again they conceded 2. They had to come from 2 goals down.
So the diagnosis for their challenges is very easy. Yeah.
And anyway, I never thought that, in my prediction, I didn't think they would make it through, because I've seen them struggle, literally. Also, you said they're unlucky Italian teams. Look at
not Italian teams, Juventus in particular.
But even
the number of finals they've played and covered, the others have not played many finals. Inter have not played as many finals. I would say Juventus in particular. They played a final in 96, a final in 97, a final in 98. They won only 1. They played another final in 2003 and lost it. They played a final in 2015 and lost. They played a final against Real Madrid and lost. So if a team converts 1 win, converts only 1 victory from 7 finals, if that is not ill luck, I don't know what is. Because if you compare that with Madrid, I think Madrid have lost, 2 or 3 finals and won 15 titles? Yeah.
Once they get to the final, they just don't know how to lose.
They just know how to lose. And now Juventus, when they get to the final, they don't know how to win.
Exactly. Anyways, the other game, PSG Monaco.
A procession will be a walk in the park. When Monaco went 2-0 up, I still felt they didn't have enough in them. And then PSG scored that 3rd goal by Desiree Doué. Beautiful. The passing inside the box maybe emphasizes the gap between the sides. And also, I think there was also a red card in that. A very poor foul on
Golovin.
For Golovin.
Yes.
Golovin. A very poor foul, a very poor challenge over studs into someone's socks on the shin. You're going to get sent off in this era of VR. But I don't think it was ever going to be a contest. And by PSG winning it 3-2 away from home, even if our goals rule doesn't count, they will be very confident, especially in the manner in which they came back from 2-0 down. Do and Ashraf Hakimi getting those goals. It feels like it will be a procession for PSG from now on.
Even Kivicha Kravas, and yet they missed a penalty through Vitinha. And Kivicha Kravas looked good, even though he didn't score. Then Benfica Real Madrid. We thought this one was going to be a bit of a feist one, given what had happened on match day 8 of the Champions League. Madrid winning it by 0-0. Vinicius Junior, who got the glory, but also walked off the pitch with, I don't know, should I call it bad press, or for lack of a better word, Vini being Vini? With the racism incident that he claims?
A bit of that, and also that was racial abuse by an Argentine player.
Gianluca
Prestiani, the right back. And maybe Argentina has a racism problem because there's also been accusations against Enzo Fernandez and
what he wrote.
What he wrote after they beat Spain and all. But I'm not normally one who thinks football has a racism problem. I think racism is a society problem. Football only just gives it a platform to showcase it. Because if someone can abuse inside a stadium, they'll do the same at the supermarket, at a bar, at a mall. So I don't think it's football's primary problem. And maybe Vini has been picked on by opposition fans and all. But this is a club, for example, Benfica, whose greatest player came from Mozambique, like Mourinho said, Eusebio. Actually, my late dad's favorite player from that era, part of the Portuguese team that finished 3rd at the 1966 World Cup. So this is not a club that has a racism problem, Benfica per se. So maybe the Portuguese society doesn't, but just an individual. In the end, a very good game, a very good goal. Benfica started like out of a house on fire. Vinicius scores a brilliant goal. But in the end, the discussion is going to be reduced to racism, maybe fittingly so. But that's where sometimes when football has given people the platform to show their bad habits, it's also given football the power to help fight some of the society's ills. that things like racism, now football is commenting on the Palestine, Israel-Gaza war.
Yeah.
Football can comment on the things that are happening with Russia and Ukraine.
The other day, Pep Guardiola came out so openly
about it. So maybe football is giving us a platform to discuss it, because maybe this racism has happened many places before football gave it this kind of platform. So it's giving it that, and maybe it should be stamped out of the game. But to say you're kicking football out of racism out of football,
when it's,
you cannot when it's there in society. If someone goes to a bar and they are seated at the table and they make an order and they are black and they are not served, and then the next person who is white is served, it's not enough to talk about racism.
If a white person cannot sit next to a black person in a train,
then it's a totally different story. So it's a society problem. Maybe people are saying, don't bring your bad manners from other layers of society to football. But people should be reminded that the Germans have that saying, that football is a mirror of society. And when it's seen here, so it's happening elsewhere. It's not unique.
And then Jose Mourinho saying that the referee had clear instructions not to give some players yellow cards because he knew they would miss the
typical Mourinho. He has to rile the opponent. He has to get his team a slight advantage, and that's what he's trying to do with that comment. But hopefully the second leg will be as good in terms of football, because I felt that group game they played, that was only one, the 3-2 where the goalkeeper scores the winner in the 11th minute of added time. Yeah, the 4-2 game was perhaps one of the games of the year or the games of the season. I didn't think the game would give us the same thrill. Nothing feels the same twice. A bit like when you go on a first date, you cannot get the same feeling. Your heart does not skip a beat every time you see the woman you saw the first time it did. So I don't think the second tie between the sides was going to bring the same kind of thrill. But from the first leg, ending 1-0, that means there's something to fight for in the second leg.
While you say that Jose Mourinho picking on the referee is nitpicking, I'd say we've had an extension of bad refereeing from the weekend. If you remember the Inter Milan game, the red card for Pierre Kalulu, and then we come to the FA Cup where Chris Kavanagh did all sorts of blunders in the Newcastle Aston Villa game, and then we had the game for Barcelona where Jules Kounde is fouled, and we have Barcelona in disarray for bad decisions. And
in Girona, I think right now it's just that we have 24-hour television and 24-hour program. It's not that referees, they are making what are human mistakes, but because they are making them in an era where everyone thinks every decision should be reviewed. So we became a bit we need to pick a lot, because it's not even about the weekend. I think in every game we watch, everywhere in the world, the referee will make a mistake out of human error. But because now there is VR, everyone thinks every decision should be reviewed. And I don't think it's about referees being bad. Maybe it's a pressure, maybe it's the attention. The attention is too much on everything. And when I started watching football as a youngster, there wasn't 24-hour sports shows, or sports television discussing what referees. So many people discussed and went home. Now there's going to be a lot more attention because there's 24-hour television, 24-hour radio, 24-hour social media, and everyone is going to be an expert because we have television that's going to replay decisions and show everyone that the referee was bad.
Anyways, moving on to today's games. Maybe Inter, Bordeaux. Do Bordeaux have a chance, or it's the end of the road for them? They've shown they can be a giant killer when they beat Man City and Atletico de Madrid
in the group stages.
Yes.
Now over 2 legs, I think Inter would have too much over 80 minutes. The quality. I think about Lautaro Martinez, even the times when they've needed their goalkeeper, Yannick Sommer, who has been brilliant this season. I thought the difference between drawing and losing against Juventus was Yannick Sommer's brilliance in goal. When they get to that, I think Inter will have too much in terms of firepower for them.
And then Atletico de Madrid club roots. Atletico Madrid have been hot and cold for lack of a better word.
This season they go and beat Barcelona 4-0 and then they lose to Rayo Vallecano 3-0.
Exactly. And you wonder whether it's the same.
It's the same Atletico Madrid you watch. Last season, I thought Club Brugge were very good. Even when they lost to Man City, eventually to bout of the champions, I thought they were very competitive. What I do not see now with Club Brugge, I don't think they have the same level of competitiveness and quality. So over 2 legs, Diego Simeone should have that one goal in them. That one extra goal in them. When you talk about how they've grown hot and cold, recently, before Julian Alvarez scored that goal against Barcelona in the Kings Cup, I think he had gone, 13 games? He had gone through a very dry spell and supposed to be one of their better players. Was their top scorer last season. But over the 2 legs, I think they should have that one extra goal over Club Brugge
to make it through,
to the next round.
I saw him saying that if besides Arsenal, I think they are the only other team that can win it, even though they've never won it.
Yeah.
For Atletico Madrid.
You've got to believe in yourself.
Let's call it for what it is. Anyway, quickly, let's move on to the Premier League, where you predicted that Arsenal will win the Premier League title. However,
before a ball was kicked. In August, yeah.
Just like you, I made the same prediction. Although for all the other predictions, for the subsequent teams, I seem to have burnt my fingers because I thought Liverpool would come second. They are nowhere near it. Man City, I thought, would come fourth, with Chelsea third. That was my top 4-ish. According to Paul Scholes, Arsenal are buoy. According to other managers, they're not that buoy.
They're efficient. I think it depends on the era where you come from. Paul Scholes played in an era where Arsenal were one of the most entertaining sides in the world. Actually, for some, only second to Barcelona. So they are right to call it that. Because they never envisaged a situation where Arsenal are the best team at free kicks and corners and these set pieces and these kind of things. They never envisaged a situation where Arsenal perhaps were the best defensive side in the league. There were a few years when they won Arsene Wenger. But that's an era foregone. Now, they're a lot more efficient. They do not create as many chances as they used to. The beauty is gone. Maybe he's referring to the boring Arsenal. In the early 90s, before Arsene Wenger arrived, they were referred to as a boring Arsenal. But that did not win them titles. I think many Arsenal fans will not care if they win their first league title in 22 years. They will not care how they get there, if it's through a corner kick where they pull the goalkeeper's hair, because I think so often they foul the goalkeeper. It won't matter to many of the Arsenal fans. All they want is to get to that league title. And they are very, 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 very close to that.
I think maybe part of why he says that is because Arsenal have scored relatively few goals, even though they come second in the league at 50. But by estimation, perhaps by the end of the season, they could have about 73 by estimation, given on XG. But what he forgets that their title-winning team, 2008-2009, when they had that stiff competition with Benitez's Liverpool, they scored only 68 goals, and Liverpool in second place had scored 77. That's quite 9 more than the eventual champions had done. Do you think it's going to have a bearing on this particular?
I'd love to see Arsenal score a bit more because when you become a champion, maybe you tick off so many boxes, but they'll tick off a lot more if they scored a bit more. And they struggled in that area because their 20-goal-a-season striker, who is supposed to be a 20-goal-a-season striker, Victor Gyökeres, has not hit the mark. As you watch this, he's only scored 8 goals in the league. Maybe those numbers need to go up. Bukayo Saka's need to go up. He's had an injury-interrupted season, and that hasn't helped. They need their numbers to go up. If their number of goals goes up, they will win the league.
And because when you say they need to score more goals, for the quality of players that Arsenal have in Eberechi Eze, Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, Trossard, and all the others, it sounds it's easy to do. What's stopping them? Because some of the view, Mikel Arteta is restricting some of these players. Is it too much of structured play and things like that?
I think while he worked under Arsene Wenger as a player and grew up at the La Masia and coached under Pep Guardiola, he's different in the sense that he doesn't take as many risks as they did. Maybe that's what makes him, he has to be his own man, because to think that he has to coach and be like Guardiola or Arsene Wenger is a bit stupid. He has to be his own man, and he doesn't take as many risks as I do. And maybe you've got to give him credit for that. That's how it's got Arsenal top of the league.
And they have
for me, that's the one area that I
they have a game tonight against Wolverhampton Wanderers. How do you see that one ending?
They need to win it. It's a game where it's about managing pressure. It has nothing to do with how Arsenal set up or the quality of Wolves or lack of it, because they're the worst side in the league this season. But for me, it's about managing pressure. It's about dealing with the pressure, because right now it's about the pressure in the league. Man City are coming at them. Jurgen Klopp describes them as a wild dog. Being pursued by a wild dog. So when you hear that sound of a wild dog coming at you, they've got to handle the pressure of a title chase. That's something they haven't experienced in a long time. Now, when they're experiencing it, they've got to manage it. And for me, it's about pressure, nothing else.
Speaking of the wild dog, Man City, it's not been the best of seasons by their own looks. We know the team in transition. The future of Pep Guardiola is still under question, even though we know he has a year left to his contract. Do you see Man City going on that winning streak of 14 games like we are accustomed to when they come and nick the title?
No. This is not De Bruyne, Yaya Toure, Vincent Kompany. This is not that era.
Gundogan.
Yeah, but maybe they don't need to, because Arsenal have to do their job. If Arsenal don't, maybe they will need to win 11 or 12 and they will be champions. While I don't think they have the ability of the teams you've mentioned, and it happens with every team in transition, they are much better than they were in the first round of the league, because I thought the areas where at the start of the season, I felt their most important players are Haaland and Donnarumma, and they still remain the most important players. But mid-season, the injuries have also affected them quite a bit. They did not have defenders, so
Ruben
Diaz and John Stones and all those affected them quite a bit. So Maguire has become very, very important. And then there was a phase when Haaland goes on a drought that we all asked who else will carry the burden, because Savinho has choked. Doku started very well, then got injured, started doing well. Riders and Ran Cherki are supposed to be the other players who bring the goods when the club needs them. Riders started very well in terms of scoring. The goals then disappeared. Ran Cherki, I think, has not been used enough. I think it's been used too sparingly by Pep Guardiola. He's got to unleash that boy.
He thinks he needs more time to adapt.
Yeah, to adapt, but I think he needs to unleash him. So with all those things, Antoine Semenyo became very important in terms of carrying the scoring burden, and that's why his goals have been very critical. But I do not think they have it in them to win 13 games. I'd even put that at 9 games in a row. I think it would be too much for this City side.
So they're not going to make it. All right, top 4 then. Manchester United up, Liverpool still in it, Chelsea want it, Aston Villa they're not going anywhere. Of course, the likes of Newcastle and Tottenham, who will be challenging for the same, are further down the pecking order. So maybe Keith Andrews makes a run for it. He's proved to be
Brentford
a headache.
All of us can agree that the top 2 positions are sorted between Arsenal and Man City. The order is what we are now waiting for over the next few weeks. Aston Villa are looking like they are doing enough just to get into the top 4. So the fight is with the rest. One, what works for the others? United have a lot of momentum with their new coach, Michael Carrick as the interim. They have a lot of momentum and belief. Chelsea seem to have the same, because Liam Rosini had also won the same number of games like Carrick before drawing against Leeds. But what works against Chelsea for me is their lack of defenders and a poor goalkeeper. They do not have a goalkeeper, and their defenders, however much you change from Chalobah to Achiapong to Bernard Badiashile to Fofana, it doesn't. Sometimes that's why I insist on all my podcasts and everywhere I've been, stats are like a bikini. They do not tell the story. The points they lose because their goalkeeping are more important than the clean sheets they have. I think that area is where they fall short. But if Cole Palmer is fit and João Pedro is in the rhythm, as well as Pedro Neto, they will be challenging, and later now Enzo Fernandez also scores some goals. So they should be challenging for the top 4 position right at the end. Liverpool have a team that is tried and tested. The Virgil van Dijks have been in this situation, and probably a very good goalkeeper in Alisson, and there are players who have improved as the season has gone on in
Florian
Wirtz, and then you have Milos Kakes, and you have Ekitike and Alexis McAllister, who have gotten better with the season. What works against them for me is their coaching. I feel Ancelotti has got so many decisions in terms of how he sets up and how he wants a team to play wrong over the season, that there are times when I think the players have to show their own grit beyond what the coach has told them. And I think that works against Liverpool. So I'll be very shocked. I think it will take a miracle for Liverpool to finish in the top 4. I think the other teams, because of momentum and belief, have an edge over Liverpool. But who knows? If it goes down to the final 2-3 games of a season and you're still in it, then it's a bit like buying a lottery ticket. If you want to win a lottery, first buy the ticket. If
Carrick gets United into top 4, does he get the job for United for you?
For me, he would get the job even without getting the top 4. Before he ever took the job, I have a testimony from one of the people I've lived with for the past 28, 29 years, Elvis Senono. When I watched Carrick coach at Middlesbrough, and United was struggling with all these coaches, and clubs are going that route of hiring ex-players without managerial experience. Of course, that altered a bit by when Pep Guardiola came in at Barcelona in 2008 without a big CV at a big club. I've always felt that Michael Carrick should be given the job. While United may go and find a Mourinho and try to find the next great manager, look within. With or without the top 4, I think Carrick has the head on his shoulders to manage United.
Okay. We'll wait to see whether he'll get the job. Otherwise, the speculation.
If he gets in the top 4, it's a no-brainer. Everyone will use that as a basis to give him the job because of where Ruben Amorim had left the club. But for me, he has the brains to develop into a good manager.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see. And then quickly, Spurs. Igor Tudor now. They've sacked managers left, right, and center over the last 8 years or so, and it's still not worked. Daniel Levy has since decided to also pack up his bags, but Igor Tudor, now in charge as an interim.
There is nothing you can say about his managerial career. I know him a lot. I watched him a lot as a player, as a squad player at Juventus. And then I watched him coach Juventus and he got sacked very quickly because they went on an 8-match winless streak.
They lost 3 and drew 5 in that run?
And he had to lose his job. I think we are going to have to do a lot of learning about him because he's not been at a top club before. Yeah? Okay, Juventus is the first. Besides Juve. He has no success. None of us can sit here and say, you go to those teams set up this way, ultra defensive, play on the counter-attack. We know nothing about that. What we've seen under Thomas Frank at Tottenham is that the club was lost. The football that we knew Frank for, the grit at Brentford and the set pieces were not there. And Spurs fancy themselves as a football playing club. And we did not see either of that. And then they brought in some big money signs like Xavi Simons and all. And we had not seen the abilities of these players come to the fore. So Igor Tudor, I think, doesn't get a clean slate in the sense that Spurs could easily get rid of him if they are not getting results very quickly. But he also doesn't come with a bus set at a point that he has to do this. I think right now what Spurs need is to get out from the relegation zone and get into mid-table. Then all of us can start to make a judgment on where Igor Tudor can go with the club or not.
They're still in the UEFA Champions League, round of 16. Maybe they get to the quarterfinals or semi-finals.
That would be good enough for him in a season. But in the end, managers are going to be sacked and hired on their form in the league.
Do you reckon Mauricio Pochettino returns?
Yeah, very possible. Very possible. I think he did very well. The only thing is that people will judge him for having not won. But Amore is of the idea that if winning was everything, then Roberto Di Matteo should be a coach somewhere. How come he won the Champions League but he's nowhere? And I've seen Pochettino improve players wherever he's coached. When he was in Spain, then at Southampton, then at Tottenham, you see a trajectory of a coach who improves players and the team. I'd rehire him. I'm a fan of his.
United also pondered about him. They even interviewed him the other time before they sacked Ten Hag. Anyway, then briefly, as we finish up, Vita Pereira. Now such at Wolves, now coming to Nottingham Forest to see out the season. Fourth manager for Nottingham Forest. Where did it all go wrong for Evangelos Marinakis and Edu Gaspar Daud?
It's entirely on a crazy, delusional club owner. Maybe he's made his money out of shipping. Maybe he sees the terrain of football the same way ships sail, and that sail is never smooth. I mean, you can only blame Marinakis because I thought they had a good coach in Nuno Espirito Santo. He had set up the club in a certain way, not very entertaining, but could do certain things.
They did just enough to get
results. He had done the same at Wolves. When you watch Nottingham Forest, you knew the ball would go to Callum Hudson-Odoi and Datone Elanga, and they'll come at you at pace, and that was it. But I think now the reality has struck. They know they are going to get relegated because they've handed the coach, I think, an 18-month contract, which gets them into the championship and then compete. Vita Pereira did very well with that escape act at Wolves. Wolves, I remember, memorable is how they beat United to stay in the league. Eventually, he'll need the same kind of magic with players that he hasn't signed, because the luck that maybe he had at Wolves, he had to sign some players because they came in when the window was. So now he has just to use what is there. He has experience, but eventually if they get relegated, because they are planned for the two scenarios, if they stay in the league, then it's backed heavily to get them up the table. If they get relegated, they think Victor Pereira could have the tools to get them back from the championship next season. So they've covered their bases very well. Because
for me, I feel that Nottingham Forest, in terms of player quality, they have enough to get by. Morgan Gibbs-White, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Ibrahim Sangare, Ola Aina, the Morilos, the Milan.
Ola Aina has had so many injuries. You cannot. He's barely played 5 games this season.
They have a Danny Ndoye who has failed to click, of course. Chris Wood, I think, has been out through injury for the
most of the season.
But in terms of player quality, they have quite a number there that can help them see through this.
But sometimes, even if you have quality, the problem with the relegation monster, once you get into it, then your players who you think are quality, the Morgan Gibbs-White, do not have the same grit. Because the relegation battle is fought with only grit. Nothing else. Quality comes later. When you do not have that grit, you may end up in a battle that is cyclic, and you end up getting relegated for something like this.
Okay. Then final 2 takes. Barcelona, Real Madrid, who wins the Spanish La Liga?
I would still go with Barcelona. While they've squandered that gap, and now they are behind 2 points. I think they'll still have enough in Lamine Yamal's magic to win the league. Their challenge is dependence on Robert Lewandowski, and when he's got older and now his body shows signs of wear and tear, they do not blow away teams anymore. Maybe that is a challenge, but I'll still pick them. Sometimes Madrid is never at peace with itself. Madrid have a self-destruct pattern somewhere in the coach's office or in the president's office. Sometimes they tend to go. Right now, they are a team with all the momentum, with the confidence. Mbappe is shattering numbers. Vinicius is doing good while distracting everyone on all the other things. Alvaro Bello has done very well. A player who, when I watched, did not look like he could even speak. He's done very well in the job. And they've had their own problems with injuries. The only positive they've had right now is that most of the injury-prone players are back. You forget Eder Militao, but now they can play a backline that's of natural defenders. The time they've had to get away with Tchouameni. But I'll still go with Barcelona.
Valverde at right back and
they've had to change so many. Now Trent is fit, Rodiger is fit, Dean Huijsen is playing regularly. Then the left back Antonio Carreras is also playing regularly. So some of the challenges they had in the first round of the league are gone. But I still think Madrid would fall short because they are not far away from self-destructing sometimes.
Okay. Lastly, your favorites to win the UEFA Champions League? Maybe 2-3 teams that you think.
1, Bayern Munich. 2, Real Madrid. 3, Arsenal.
Oh, wow. Arsenal have never
won. In that order.
Oh,
in that order. Yeah.
Okay. maybe Arsenal fans will have confidence knowing that they've already beaten Bayern Munich at least once this season. Anyways, guys, due to the interest of time, that's what we had all for today. Perhaps given another opportunity, we'll return with Dhakaba and have more extensive conversation about football and sport in general.
And don't forget, as you watch this, go and subscribe. Watch my channel too, at Ismail Dhakaba Kigongo on YouTube. When you find it, my show is called Second Take with IDK. It's about what I think. So go there, subscribe, watch, and share.
It has a Luganda version and an English version.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen. What's his name? Brandon
Chimuli. Yeah.
Brandon Chimuli. Yes.
Yeah, he does the Luganda, and then I've done the English with Mebo Kebirungi.
Okay. All right. It's been a pleasure. Bye bye, guys. Until next time.